One, two, three, four, five. All right. Well, there's six of us. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. It is 1:03 p.m. on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We have a quorum of six right now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do introductions. My name is Onamna Thone. I'm chair of the council. Let's go ahead and get started with Rachel.
Good afternoon, I'm Rachel Sprague. I'm calling from the island of Lanai.
Thanks, Rachel. Tessie.
Tessie Kinnaman, Hawaii.
Thank you, Tessie. Dawn.
Dawn Hager Nordblom, Maui.
Thanks, Dawn. Steph.
Aloha, everyone. Steph Dunbar Co.
All right, thanks, Steph. Oh, I thought I saw Michelle. Did she drop off?
I did see her too, and she must
Okay.
have.
Okay,
dropped off.
we'll come back to her. Let's go over to ERP.
Tom Eisen here in Honolulu.
Kaylee Yoshioka.
Mary Alice Evans.
Okay. Thank you, folks. And Allison.
Hi, Allison Conto, Deputy Attorney General.
Thanks, Allison. And hi, Ron. Nice to see you.
Hi, guys. Just sitting in for a little while.
Okay, awesome. All right. Well, I think, oh, there's Michelle. Michelle, you want to go ahead and, oh, do you still have audio issues? Oh. Okay, I think Michelle may be having some audio issues. So she'll join back in a second. All right, thank you, everybody. Why don't we turn it over to you, Mary Alice, if you want to go ahead and give us the director's update.
Okay, thank you very much, Onana. The emergency proclamation on wildfires continues to exempt Chapter 343. However, it appears that Maui County ordinances and rules that were adopted prior to the governor's emergency proclamation issuance remain in force. And of course, federal rules also remain in force. So it's not at this point clear whether there could be a requirement for an environmental assessment for properties that want to rebuild within the National Historic Legacy Landmark area. And I would love to hear comments on that. And then the mayor, of course, can use the mayor's emergency powers to suspend its own ordinances and rules should it choose to. And they haven't chose to do that yet, except for temporary structures, which has allowed the temporary housing structures to move more quickly than they would have otherwise. And I think I want to pause there, Chair, and ask if there are any comments from your members on the situation as the Chapter 343 at the state level being suspended and the county's use of EAs in its planning processes proceeds.
Sure, thanks, Mary Alice. Dawn, I see that you unmuted and you probably have the most on the ground knowledge of folks, so I'll hand the floor over to you.
Okay. So, I actually did call Tom a couple days ago because there are people who are reaching out to me as a consultant asking if I would do their environmental assessment for them in the commercial district in the NRHP area. However, because there's 343, which has not been exempt, or the governor exempted 343, and then there's 205A, which is also an issue, and then there's Bill 95, which is Maui County, which they're trying to get all non-conforming uses that were exempted prior to the fire. So typically with non-conforming is if you have a structure that's burnt at my understanding is 50%, you can rebuild with a permit. But Maui County is trying to go for a more thorough non-conforming build. So if the whole structure was gone, more than 50%, they're pushing to rebuild that, which to me kind of flies in the face of the rules. So I think it's a bit of a conundrum. So there's at play 343, Chapter 205A, Bill 95, Maui County, and the NRHP, which is federal. And I've heard that some people are thinking about doing environmental assessment because they're in the NRHP, but that's a lot of people because Front Street, all of Front Street from Baby Beach to the harbor and one road back from Front Street is all in the NRHP. And then you also have the state register, which is, you know, the King Kamehameha, or I actually forgot what the name is of the island and the wetland there, but so there's a lot of things at play, and I think everyone's just trying to figure out the best route forward. I did see an article in Civil Beat saying that Maui County has not given any guidance on commercial structures in the NRHP. I do know that single family residences, they have been given building permits, but not probably in the NRHP. So, oh, and then the new shoreline rules, which were approved by the county council, but haven't been signed by the mayor. It's a little ironic because here everyone was pushing for these rules to move forward to deal with sea level rise and climate change. But now I feel like they might be on hold because of the fire and because people want to rebuild in the exact same spot. And, you know, it's just a very hard situation, I think, for anybody who's a planner or a federal agency or county or state agency at this point.
Is there any thought by County of Maui to do a programmatic EA for the commercial district, for example, a National Historic District? I mean, that would
be a great idea. You know, I don't know who would do it. I think I don't know which agency would be in charge of it. I think that if you do a programmatic EIS, I'm probably sure it will be, but it's going to take years. So I think that's where some people might be leaning on those exemptions and also the exemption list. And also, you know, I think people just don't understand that if you built something in 1986, that there are different rules now, you know, and it's been 40 years. So I think people are really struggling with, they built in a flood zone, their flood zone standards 16, they have to build their house up, and now they have to move their house over because of the shoreline rules, but then their whole structure burnt down, so then they have to apply for a new permit. But so everyone's just, I don't think people realize how much money this is going to be besides just a building permit. It's hiring a consultant, hiring an architect for your plans. It's crazy.
Okay. Chair, I can make a small comment. Thank you, Dawn. That was a very succinct and helpful organizing of all the various things that haven't been decided. We did learn that that FEMA's vendor Jacobs hired to assist Maui County in whatever way would be helpful was asked to do a white paper on whether a programmatic SMA permit application might be, what are the costs and benefits and positives, and I got a look at a draft, and it did appear that there were some benefits to doing a consolidated, I'm not going to call it programmatic because there isn't anything in the SMA rules or ordinances about programmatic, but a consolidated SMA permit application for some portion of the burn scar area. But no decisions have been made, no discussion of whether that would be something that FEMA might fund upon the request of Maui County, or and if they did, whether it would be a third-party vendor as opposed to a coalition of property owners, which might provide Maui County with some guidance on the impacts and what mitigating actions might be appropriate to meet a shoreline management permit application. But as I say, no, as far as I know, no decisions have been made on that.
Okay, that's interesting, but I mean, at least it's good that those conversations are being had to try to find some way to do these analyses in bulk, because it is such a large area. I mean, Don pointing out that each person will have to hire consultants, architects, etc. I mean, very expensive and very time consuming.
Yeah, and I have heard from property owners that they are interested in seeing if that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Great. Did anybody else on the call have oh, we just lost Mary. I wanted to acknowledge that she popped on. Hopefully she'll be able to log back in. Anybody else on the call had any comments or knowledge to offer on this?
I wanted to add one additional and unrelated report back to the council, and that is we're starting to see more use of the exemption for affordable housing projects from producing an EA in the state urban district in a county zone that allows for housing. So that means that addition to the rules in August 2019 is starting to be used to help reduce the cost of affordable housing projects in that limited circumstance where it's urban district, county zoned for housing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's great. Do you have any info you can share with us in terms of which counties are using that? Or which counties these projects are in?
I'm aware of some on Oahu, and the Big Island seems to be submitting them somewhat occasionally also.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that's promising to hear. And then, hi, Mary, there you are. Wanted to just say we see you. Thanks for joining. If you want to go ahead and
Sorry,
introduce yourself.
Mary Berger from Hawaii Island Commissioner. I just left the meeting at Kihei Lagoon and I only have one bar. I'm going to drive someplace
Okay.
I keep bring. So I'm going to drive somewhere to find a signal, but I'll still be here, okay? So you can look at my ceiling for a while.
No worries. Thanks, Mary. And then, sorry, Michelle, since you didn't get a chance to go ahead.
Hi, Michelle Lafette, Hawaii Island. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mary Alice, anything else for you to report as part of your director's report?
No, nothing that I'm going to pass the baton over to Tom and see if he has anything to report.
Thank you.
Nothing specific, just plugging away, getting the notice out and dealing with agencies requesting guidance on the exemption process in general, and then affordable housing in particular seems to be coming up more and more often. So trying to help out as much as we can to help them go through the process as easily and quickly as possible.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Chair.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council members or members of the public on the director's update? Okay, thank you both very much.
Sure.
All right, so moving on, we'll briefly go over review and adoption of the July 2024 meeting minutes. Did everybody get a chance to review, or do folks need some time? You guys want to take a couple minutes? Yeah, okay, let's do 2 minutes, so 1:20, and then if we need more time, we can do more time from there. Okay, how are folks doing on the meeting minutes? Do we need a little bit more time? No? Okay. I think ERP, if you can, before the final minutes get posted, just one formatting comment for my part. On the second page header, I think we gotta just update the date to July 2024.
Okay.
Okay. And then do I have a motion from anybody?
Move to approve the minutes from the July 24th meeting.
Okay. Thanks, Rachel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Is that Michelle?
Yeah.
Thanks, Michelle. All right. Any discussion? Edits to the meeting minutes? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor of approving the July 2024 meeting minutes, please raise your hand and keep it up if you can. Okay. Do we have unanimous? Yep. Okay. Oh, Steph, are you abstaining? Okay, Steph's abstaining, so I'll do a roll call vote. All right, so Onaona, I, Michelle,
Aye.
okay, Mary,
I
thanks.
I can't make
Okay.
the,
No, it's okay. You can keep your hand down. Tessie,
Aye.
okay, Rachel,
Aye.
all right, and Dawn.
Aye.
All right. So 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Okay. So the meeting minutes, the motion passes. Thank you, folks. All right, I will go ahead and again, thank you, ERP, for continuing to prepare our very detailed council minutes. Appreciate that. Michelle, I'll hand it over to you for the exemption committee update.
Sounds good. The let's see, I think the DOE list was the next one on for us to discuss. We did not get the revised list yet, so that's not ready for us to take action on today. DOE asked for an extra month to incorporate the suggestions we made at last month's meeting. So we will wait to September to receive that revision. The only other outstanding list that we have is Department of Hawaiian Homelands provided their list, but have not gotten back to us in the last few months after we had pretty significant comments. So still waiting to hear back from DHHL, and no other lists have been received to date. The next item is the revised exemption guidance. So at today's meeting, we spent the whole meeting talking about updating the guidance that was written first right after the rules were updated in 2019. So updating that guidance to reflect OPSC rather than OEQC, but also, that was sort of fresh off the press when the rules were published in 2019. So now it reflects the just referring to those rules as the current rules rather than the hot off the press rules. So yeah, and then clarifying a couple points where we can. But the idea is that we have more updated guidance available on the on ERP's website regarding exemptions.
Yeah, and if I can just add, thanks to Ron for taking the first crack at going through the older exemption guidance and really doing some revisions there. And then, ERP also provided revisions on the exemption committee. So what you folks have in the agenda today is, the draft as revised before it went to exemption committee this morning. So we do have further revisions that will be posted, on the agenda for September based on our discussion with ERP and the exemption committee earlier today. But if anybody else has any comments on the updated, exemption guidance, we have, time to talk about that right now. And Ron, I don't know if you wanted to give any more color to some of the changes or any comments. And you don't have to if you don't want to, but we're always happy to hear from you.
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
We did take almost all, I think all your suggestions, Ron. So if anything, we just added more, and there was some reference to an expedited process. So we decided that probably didn't reflect anything real in terms of the steps in the process. So we also decided to trim that section down. And but other than that, yeah, it's just really cleaning it up. So
Well, that's
thanks.
a good idea about the expedited. You're right. Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to see the final version. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ron, I mean, maybe you can refresh our recollection because as we were going through it, the references, initially our inclination was like, hey, let's keep the expedited process. But as we started talking about it, I don't think any agencies took advantage of that. The reality was that, they didn't come in just to rejigger it for parts 1 and 2. If they were spending the time looking at it, they were actually doing a more comprehensive update. So
yeah, that was pretty much 100% of who we saw. And I think we that expedited process was kind of meant for the first 6 months or year. If anybody was really desperate, we had Deal and R come in early, but like you said, they decided to do a lot of revision. So couldn't take advantage of that anyway.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that for us. Taking a couple of notes. Okay. Anybody else have any comments on the interim draft updated exemption guidance? And again, we'll post this on a further updated version for the September meeting. Okay. Well, if no comments or questions, we can go ahead and move on. Thank you, Michelle, for the exemptions committee update. And I'll go ahead and add the DOE, action item for September on our agenda if we get their list in time for that. Okay, number 5, Mary, Dawn, I don't know if you folks have any updates on INO. I just kept kind of the standing agenda item in case there are any updates.
I appreciate that, Onana, and I just apologize. I've not had the capacity to perform in this role at all this summer.
Okay.
So
understood. Yep. No, it's okay. Everybody's got a lot going on.
We'll circle back on. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Agenda item number 6. So, a question came up about, I think some folks are using personal email addresses and some are using just their normal business email addresses for council. And we haven't actually set a policy on it in the past. I think maybe there's been some concern that, folks, if you use, your business email address, you may be acting in your capacity for that business rather than a council member. And we are all volunteers, so we don't have, specific council email addresses, but direction, I think an ERP, Tom, if you want to speak to this a little bit more, might be for folks if they are able to use your personal email address rather than a business one. So, Tom, I don't know, anything to add on that?
Well, I think, yeah, the idea of not making it look as if you're acting from your business is appropriate. So personal is probably the option. I suppose we could maybe look into the concept of like a council email address, and maybe something we could explore if that's an option. But until then, would basically imagine if you can use your personal email address or create one, that would be better than using a business email address for council related interactions.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mary. You have your hand up.
Yeah, I understand the concern if people do something untowards, but I have one email address. I have always had one email address on purpose, and I do not intend to have a second email address. I'm a volunteer. I think that the if a person is recruited to serve as a volunteer on a state agency and they can't be trusted to use their email correctly, then they shouldn't be on the body in the first place. And so I would just speak against telling people what to do regarding their email addresses. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Any other questions or comments from folks? Okay, so yeah, and I haven't done a survey of everybody's email addresses, so I see ERP's point, and Tom and Mary Alice, maybe that is something just to look at for, you know, the council going forward. I know most of the folks on the board right now, we're going to be terming off in a few short months. So yeah, I think for those folks, maybe they can just kind of continue using what they're using. I think a lot of people actually are using their personal email addresses more so, but yeah, and I guess for internal purposes with just our agendas and stuff, it shouldn't be a big issue. But the concern is anybody acting, I guess if you're emailing people outside of the council, right? And whether or not you're
I think we're talking about me because I interact with the agencies outside, and I definitely take note of this. I have my work computer. I can't access my personal email address on my work computer, so I have to go onto my personal. I have to step away from my desk and go to my personal computer to do it. So it allows me to handle council business more quickly from work, but I'm definitely, hearing the concern, and I, can just do that after work hours then, because I'm not going to keep running back checking to see if there's council emails. So it may slow things down for me for a bit, but I hear the concern.
We don't have to do that.
No, it's not a have to.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think maybe like adding a signature line or something, like this is not into your signature line, but just to be clear, I'm acting in my capacity as a council member or something. If you have to use one email address or your business one, maybe that could be a potential fix. I think some companies may actually have their own restrictions internally, in terms of using work for other things, right? So yeah. Okay. Anything else on that? No. Okay. And then I know the last thing is, I did, and Mary Alice, thank you for, responding to my email. We continue to try to get appointments to the council. And so I've been working with Mary Alice on that. And Mary Alice, I provided you a couple of names for folks that I know for sure did apply. Is there any progress on that front?
Well, I did forward those to Director Tokioka, who had requested that from all of the DBED boards and commissions, not singling out EAC, although I think EAC's situation is urgent. And I haven't heard back from either state boards and commissions or from Director Tokioka as to any progress on that. And I had also sent a request to Gov's office for some expedited consideration of filling the vacancies on an interim basis. As you know, they don't. Appointments to boards and commissions don't have to wait for the legislative session. If they're vacant already, or there's a known vacancy date because a member is going to max out their 8-year term, those appointments can be made on an interim basis. They then have to be nominated again for that seat during the session and then confirmed. But there's no need to wait. So I'm urging appointment to fill vacancies, and I'm hopeful, but not unreasonably optimistic given our history here of not getting a response yet. So I apologize on behalf of the administration. Really, this should have been addressed, much, much more expeditiously than it has been or has not been.
Well, thank you, Mary Alice. I appreciate your apology, although it's not you that needs to be apologizing. It's fine. You've been helpful to us, and we very much appreciate that. Yeah, so it is just getting closer to the wire. I mean, for those of us, I think, myself, Mary, Steph, and Tessie, I have to check yours again, but I mean, our holdover date is November, right? So we're out after that. That's going into annual report season and, starting for ledge. So we just wanted, hopefully we can get folks in so that it feels like there's more of a presence for this body to move forward. And as you folks can tell, I mean, our agendas have been very light in terms of substance, just because, I mean, with the dwindling membership, I'm hesitant to even push any substantive work, get things kind of started for folks. Really the exemptions review is continuing to move forward, and thanks a lot to like Ron and Michelle for setting that committee up to be able to do that. But yeah, we'll be in a very, I guess, kind of awkward position shortly. And I mean, and frankly, it's hard to kind of keep morale up with folks with so few people on, right? So yeah, appreciate the efforts to get some new bodies on. Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, and if I can add, thank you again, Mary Alice. Again, you shouldn't be apologizing. We appreciate your support, because I think if I look at the list, it's Michelle and I, right? After November.
Yeah, Dawn was only Dawn has more time that she can serve, but she was only appointed her initial term for a year. So she's been holding over. So Dawn, if she's willing, has the ability to be reappointed for a longer term. So that would leave, you, Rachel, Dawn, and Michelle, essentially, if Dawn continues. But if Dawn does not get, reappointed soon, it is, just, you and Michelle. And I mean, there's no need for sunshine law from there on. But
yeah, it's mainly just I think that Michelle, and I don't want to speak for you or Dawn, but I think that I would certainly like Mary and others have noted, like, we're volunteers and I want to help, but I don't think any of us are in a place to like onboard and carry, especially if it's just two of us or ideally three of us. And we want to help the state and help the continuation of the EAC. But I mean, frankly, if the governor or someone else has a different plan in mind, sort of letting this linger on is not probably the most helpful or respectful to all of you who've put in so much work, and us as well. I mean, if there's a major change to be made, it's a little bit of kind of like a make it, or like tell us all while we don't continue spending all of our time. Otherwise, if there's time we can spend on useful things that will be helpful to the department and the state into the future, I want to help with that. But like, we all have full-time jobs, and like you said, are volunteers. And I guess I'm really concerned about my capacity to keep things going, like you said, kind of both from the morale standpoint and the timing just of life standpoint. If there's not support from the administration and other members.
Great points, Rachel. And I again, not speaking for others, but I echo in those sentiments. So
yeah, and I agree with Rachel.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. And I think Michelle and I have talked about it too, because like if there's two people that are on and I'm a holdover, I mean, that's just crazy. Our agenda is basically Michelle's exemption list, and any new business that comes up. But yeah, so what happens to all those committees? Do they all become one committee, in the meeting? It's like a 2-hour meeting instead of like different meetings, like I know Michelle's smiling. I mean, but Mary's smiling too. But yeah, like how do we even move forward with like having a meeting,
I mean, sorry, this is crazy to me. Like, many of us have been on this for 8 years, and I'm looking at Ron. I mean, here you are because you care, and what a fundamental piece of this puzzle you've been, and you've all been, and Onauna, and it makes it's not a good feeling, and it's certainly not a good look. And it honestly almost makes me want to go to Civil Beat and be like, this is going down. I don't know. Mary Alice, please, like, I want to be positive about this moment, and it's been really, really difficult for me, not just today, but this conversation has been going on about succession for over a year.
I do not know of any discussion or plans to sunset this board. I have not heard one word in that direction at all. So no rumors, no nothing. So I have to assume that the goal is to make the appointments and keep the board active.
Good to know. Yeah, I think folks are just getting a different feeling, but in any event, let's see, who did we have that just joined?
Actions speak louder than words.
Mhm.
So,
Hi, Chan KB. We just had somebody join. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for the record. Chan KB. Okay, I'm not sure who that person is, but once you get your audio connected, if you can, go ahead and just introduce yourself for the record. All right, well,
Nana, can I ask a
go ahead,
question
Mary.
that's
Mhm.
not on the agenda about the planning meeting that's coming up in September? I think
Mhm.
Dawn had the scoop on that. What are those dates again? And how do I get the information to register?
Would this be the Hawaii Congress of Planning Officials, Mary?
I think so, yes.
Okay, I can provide that information. This is the annual conference of the 5 state and county planning departments that has been a feature of every year, except for COVID, since the 70s. And it rotates among the 5 departments, 4 county planning departments, and the state planning office and state planners. And this year, it's being held in Hawaii County, as you know.
That's what I understood. That's why I was curious to get there.
Yeah, registration is still open. I will try to forward through Tom to you the link to the registration page on their website.
Okay.
It's being held. It starts with field site visits on Wednesday, September 11th in the morning into about mid-afternoon. I think there are 4 different options. Some of them have already been subscribed and are closed, but there might be 1 or 2 that are open. And then Wednesday afternoon, there's a planning directors panel, a welcome reception. Thursday, all day, there will be a continental breakfast. There will be choice of panels, a keynote speaker, a number of different planning topics that Hawaii County Planning Department, as the host, has taken the lead in recruiting panelists and setting the theme for the panel.
Okay.
Then there'll be a dinner Thursday night. It's at the Hawaii Prince Hotel in Puako. And then on Friday morning, there's a continental breakfast again, and there's the planning ethics seminar and the planning law seminar. All of these have credits for those people who
Oh, okay.
interested in getting, and the planning ethics and planning law are required for members of the American Institute of Certified Planners. So then the conference closes Friday at noon.
Thanks very much, Mary Alice.
You're welcome. I
That
hope
was-
you were able to attend.
Yeah, it's September 11th through the 13th, Mary, at the Hapuna, Weston Hapuna. Yeah, thanks, Mary Alice. And I'm looking at the program. It looks like Ron Terry is on a panel. So that'll be a good one.
Good.
Okay.
The good thing we love Ron Terry because we sure get a lot of him.
Yeah, too much. Can't
No,
get rid
never
of him.
enough.
No,
Never
not
enough.
enough.
Never enough.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other questions or comments? I mean, I know on our last, again, the last topic before that question, you know, again, Mary Alice, we appreciate any help you have to try to get new members on, because, you know, especially in terms of like transition time, we would really, I mean, ideally getting people on now to transition them through November, since so many of us are off in November.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, aloha Kaliko. Okay, we see that you're from DHHL, so that's our member who's just as Chun KB. Kaliko, did you have any questions? We're actually kind of towards the end of our agenda, so we'll be signing off. If you have any, you know, questions that or specific items that you were here for that you wanted to provide testimony on, you can go ahead and you can chat that and I can read it out to the group. Okay. All right. So it looks like nothing specific from Kaliko. Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, we had a bit of a short meeting today. So our next meeting, we're looking at Tuesday, September 3rd, which is, I believe, the day after Labor Day. So I think hopefully that still works for folks. Again, we're kind of in a position right now where we don't have, other than the exemptions committee, not too much substantively. So it'd probably be another on the shorter side meeting. If DOE has their edits to us, we'll have that as an agenda item to approve it for a 15-day public comment period. And then we will review the updated exemptions guidance again. If anybody has any other agenda items that need to be on, you know, please reach out to me ahead of the agenda deadline, which will be August 30th, Friday, August 30th. No, Friday, August 23rd. Right,
A week ahead.
Yeah, yeah, August 23rd. Okay. All right, anything else from anybody? All right. Well, I just appreciate everybody's time and participation. Sorry, were you raising your hand, Tom?
No.
No? Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I'll go ahead and close the meeting. It is 1:49 p.m. Everybody have a good week and good weekend. Nice to see you
Thanks.
folks.
Thank you for your leadership,
Thank you,
Onana. You're the
Onana.
best.
You are.
Thank you,
Everybody.
Onana.
Thank you
You
so
guys
much.
all are. Thank you so much.
Well,
Bye.